whiteboard. My name is Anuradha Tripathi, and in the continuation of the last session which we had about the geography as a subject in UPSC Civil Services examination, whereby we have discussed that what is the syllabus of geography in the prelims and the mains, what is the nature of the geography as a subject, and from where we can cover those topic which is mentioned in prelims and mains. So in the continuation of that session, today we are going to dive even more deeper in the geography subject and we will start with the what is the weightage of geography subject in prelims and mains. Then after we will be looking after that how we can cover those topics from the NCERT, and what is the expectation of UPSC from an aspirant with respect to specifically the geography subject by analyzing the question which UPSC is asking in the prelims and mains. So without a further delay, let's start our discussion. So the first slide here we can see is the number of the question that UPSC is asking in the prelims exam. Okay, and if you see that the number of question right away from the 2013 to 2024. So here on an average UPSC is asking from 13 to 15 questions. Okay, with the slightly two exception year in 2016 and 17 where the weightage of the geography is abruptly changed. However, despite this fact, we can see the UPSC is asking in geography like in 2013, 18, 14, in 2014, 14 question has been asked in 15, 16. So similarly, we can see that on an average there is 13 to 15 question. And from the last year question, we can observe a specific pattern in the UPSC geography subject. For example, see in 2018, the number of the question is 14. And in 2019, the number of question is 14 again. In 2020, the weightage is decreased by 4 question, and again in 2021 the similar number of question is asked. Okay, and in 2022 there is increase in the number of questions by 6 and similar number of question is being asked in 2023. And in this year, surprisingly, the number of question is 20, and geography was one among the subject which was having the greatest weightage as compared to other subject. So if we observe this particular pattern, we can say that in 2025 the maximum chance that UPSC will ask from this question will be 20 based on this pattern. Okay, so that we can understand from here also. See, in 2018 the number of question is similar, again it is decreasing, and UPSC is maintaining the similar number of question next 2 years. It is increasing for 2 years, again the number of question is similar, and in this year again the question is increased to 20. So if this similar pattern is going to be continued, then the next year again in 2025 20 question is going to be coming from this section of exam. So here the geography from the prelims perspective for your 2025 exam is very crucial. Okay, so this is about the prelims weightage in the geography weightage in the prelims. Now we'll see that what is the weightage of geography in mains examination. See, in mains examination, I have picked the number of questions from 2013 to 2023. Here, I have bolded this number of marks in few years because here the number which single question is carrying is different. Okay, so in 2016, each single question was carrying 12.5 marks. So you can see that for 8 questions that the geography was carrying 100 marks. However, we can see that from 2017 the number of question more or less same, it is 8 or 7. And if we bifurcate this number of question into world geography and Indian geography, that it is more or less same in terms of like either 5 questions from world geography and 3 questions from Indian geography, keeping aside this 2017 as an exception year. Even though we can see in 2013 the number of question is more, but the weightage means the individual marks which is given to single question was comparatively less. That's why in 2017 or 17 onwards, more or less the geography was carrying the weightage from 90 to 100. So in GS paper, out of 250 marks, nearly 100 weightage we have, UPSC has given to the geography. So it is very crucial part of the general study paper, specifically in GS paper 1. Okay. So this is about the weightage of the marks of geography in mains. So by analyzing the weightage which geography is carrying in UPSC civil services paper, not only in the prelims but also the mains, so it is very crucial, which is going to ensure your selection fine. Now we will be dealing with one of the most important question which aspirant often have in the mind, is how to approach the NCERT. See, whenever an aspirant think about to cover the UPSC general study paper syllabus from the NCERT, several questions pop up into the mind right away, that which NCERT we should study, okay, then how we should study, okay, do we need to have any additional source apart from the NCERT, okay, and what are that, is it enough that NCERT will be covering that entire syllabus of the general study paper and it will help us to solve the questions. So I will be dealing with all these issues while you are reading the NCERT. Okay, so first thing, that what NCERT you should identify. Here two questions lies. Aspirant often feel either we need to read entire 6th to class NCERT or 11th or 12th class NCERT will be sufficient. So it will vary from individual aspirant to aspirant. If you have a little bit of idea about the basic of geography, then you can eventually start from 11th and 12th. Okay, if not, then you can refer to 6th class NCERT itself. But the question is that what should be the pattern if you are following the 6th to 12th class NCERT, then how you should read. See, few students follow that first they will be covering the 6th class NCERT, then they will be reading the 7th class and then 8th class and eventually up to 12th class NCERT. Okay, but what problem you will face if you are sequentially following one NCERT after another in terms of the class? Okay, so you might be following, you might be forgetting the topic which is there in 6th class. Okay, that might be repeating in 9th class, will not be there in 7th and 8th. So instead of this continuation of reading the NCERT class by class, you should have a vertical integration of NCERT. Vertical integration of NCERT. What is this meaning of vertical integration? For example, we'll understand with the help of example. Vertical integration. Vertical integration of NCERT. Here, suppose any topic, suppose in geography you are studying about earthquake. So few points is mentioned in 6th class NCERT. Then you should see that where this similar topic is mentioned in which particular class NCERT. Suppose it's repeating in 8th. Okay, then it's repeating in 11th and again in 12th. So in one go you should read entirely about the NCERT. What benefit you will derive is, you will have that very basic idea which you will get from 6th class NCERT, and you can build your foundation and updation in the knowledge right away from the 6th to 12th. This is what the vertical integration of this NCERT. Here, that one challenge you will face is you have to identify the topic. Initially it will take some time, but eventually it will helpful for you to have a very comprehensive knowledge about any topic. Okay, so while you are reading the NCERT, you have to see that which particular NCERT is carrying the syllabus. Okay, and then you should read in vertical integration mode. and eventually this vertical integration will also help you. You can leave out that unnecessary stuff which is mentioned in the NCERT, which is not important from our exam point of view, because that is not mentioned in the syllabus itself. Okay, then while you are reading that, what should be your approach? So you should not be a passive reader. How? You should actively engage with the NCERT, and while you are reading, then you should focus on the conceptual clarity. These 2 points we will be understanding with the help of the question which UPSC has asked in the last year specifically. And then third aspect of the NCERT will be the cross reference. As we already know that geography is more or less is static, but contemporary issues make it a little more dynamic. So if a subject is dynamic, then you should update it. Okay, so in NCERT you will be finding few datas, okay, which you need to update, and whatever the development is happening with respect to any topic, okay, so for that matter you need to do the cross reference. For example, Indian monsoon. So Indian monsoon is mentioned in 11th class NCERT. Okay, and monsoon is one of the most dynamic aspect. Okay, every year we'll find any news article or editorial is coming up into the various newspaper which talks about the contemporary phenomena of Indian Ocean dipole, which is not mentioned in NCERT. So therefore you need to do the cross reference with respect to the dynamism which is involved in the UPSC exam of this geography paper. Then while you are reading, you should mind the map or any diagram. Okay, why? Because UPSC is directly picking up the question from those map and the diagrams. That also we will understand with the help of certain example. Okay, and in the last session also I have given you the example of 2015 and in 2017 UPSC has asked the question with respect to the Mediterranean Sea. Fine. Okay, then the last question is it enough to read the NCERT? See, if any topic is conceptual, okay, if any topic is conceptual and dynamic, then you need to substantiate your knowledge by reading some other book. As I have already mentioned in the last session that after reading only NCERT, of 11th and 12th, you can focus on GC Leong to have the more conceptual clarity, so much so that if the question is not direct in the exam, you can solve that question without any hesitation. Fine. So these are the key points which you should take into your mind while you are reading the NCERT. Fine. This is about the doubts. Now the 2 points with respect to how to read, whereby we need to underline the important point and what should be our focus. So these 2 aspects you can only understand by analyzing the PYQ. Here one aspect also I would like to emphasize is aspirant often directly jump into starting reading any particular topic or any subject without looking into what is the syllabus and what is the demand of the UPSC by analyzing the question paper. Okay, so whereby they end up investing or wasting their time without realizing that what is going to be asked in the question and how it is going to be asked. So analysis of the syllabus and analysis of PYQ will build a tunnel with the help of which eventually you will be clearing this exam. Fine. So we can not overlook the importance of that how the UPSC is asking the question. In this particular slide, I had mentioned not only the how you should read, but also that how UPSC is asking the question from NCERT. See, in this year 2024, UPSC has asked the question with respect to water vapor. So with the reference of water vapor, which of the following statement is correct? So you have to identify the correct statement. The first statement is it is a gas. Okay, and the amount of which decrease with altitude. Then the second statement is its percentage is maximum at pole. Fine. Here my motive to pick up this question is that from where UPSC has asked the question from the NCERT, so that you can realize that NCERT is very much essential to clear this exam. So in 11th class NCERT, on page number 64 in chapter number 7, there is this paragraph which is about the water vapor, which says, very first line, it is a variable gas, then which decrease with the altitude. So this statement is right. Fine. Okay, then here, while in dry and cold area of desert and the polar region, okay, it may be less than 1% of the air, water vapor also decrease from equator towards the pole. It means its percentage is minimum at pole, not maximum. So this statement is wrong. So the answer will be option A. So we can see that UPSC is directly picking up the question from the water vapor, from the NCERT. Right? If the similar topic UPSC is going to repeat, then there is a less chance that same information or the same aspect of the water vapor is going to be repeated. However, the different aspect of the water vapor is going to be asked. For example, see here the NCERT what mentioning, what is the contribution of the water vapor? So if the similar topic is going to be repeated in the next year or in upcoming year, so the maximum chance that UPSC will ask is what is the contribution in terms of it also observe the parts of the insolation from the sun and preserve the earth's radiated heat. Thus it acts like a blanket, allowing the earth neither to be cold or warm. Fine. So analysis of the previous year question, we understand that how we should read and what are the important points and how we should understand. Okay, and what is the maximum chance that in what next year or in upcoming year, which from this topic, what is the next aspect which UPSC is going to ask. So you will not forget this you will not forget to highlight this line or highlight this point with respect to the water vapor. This is not just a one example. We'll deal with the another example also, and that too also from this year question only. You see here, see this is also 2024 questions, UPSC prelims. With the reference to Coriolis force, which of the following statement is or are correct? Here again you have to identify the correct statement. It says it increase with increase in wind velocity. Second statement, it is maximum at pole and it is absent at equator. And we have to identify the answer. So same topic in UPSC NCERT in NCERT 11th class, chapter number 9, page number 79. You can cross check after completing this session. See here about the Coriolis force. The deflection is more when the wind velocity is high. So more deflection means more Coriolis force, and when it will happen when the wind velocity is high. So see, it increase with the increase in the wind velocity. So the statement is right. Then the Coriolis force is directly proportional to the angle of the latitude. It is maximum at pole and it is absent at equator. Exact with the word to word, that line has been picked up by the examiner for the UPSC exam. So it is maximum at pole. So the both statement are right. Okay. One more example from the NCERT only with the help of this year question. See here. Consider the following description. Here UPSC has given the three statement with the help of which you have to identify which particular type of the climate it is. So first statement is annual and the daily range of temperature is low. Precipitation occur throughout the year. Precipitation vary between 50 centimeter to 250 centimeter. What is this type of climate? Okay. So here you see on page number 94, chapter number 11. 11th class NCERT, World Physical Geography. See here, one more thing, UPSC examiner not even try to change the sequence of the statement which is put in the exam. See here, the annual and the daily range of temperature are very small. The annual and the daily range of temperature is low. Fine. Precipitation occur throughout the year. Precipitation occur throughout the year. And then precipitation vary greatly from 52 to 50 centimeter. Precipitation vary greatly between 52 to 50 centimeter. And the answer is option D, okay, which is the marine west coast climate. So with the help of this example, we can understand, if we'll cover the UPSC, if we'll cover the NCERT also, we will be in a position to solve the questions, maximum questions for the UPSC exam. Okay, so that's how you should read, depending upon how the UPSC is asking the question. By analyzing the PYQ, you should approach the NCERT. Okay, so what line is important, and you have to develop the habit to read in between the line as well. Okay, with the help of two statements, you should be in a position to drive the extra knowledge which ultimately you will be applying in the knowledge to solve any questions, especially in the case when the question is not direct. Fine. So this is how you should approach the NCERT. Now we will be looking after that, what is the nature of the question of geography in the mains examination. Here, to understand the nature of the question, you need to understand that what is the expectation of the UPSC from an upcoming bureaucrat. Fine. So the expectation of the UPSC is basically, once you will be entering into the system, you should be in a position to deal with the present challenges which India is facing. So with respect to geography and environment, what is the challenge in front of the India in 21st century? So with the help of which you will be identifying that how the UPSC is asking the question. If you see the nature of the question in the last 5 to 6 years, especially in the mains examination, UPSC is focusing more on the contemporary issues with respect to geography and the environmental section. Okay, so if we'll see, so if we'll try to bifurcate the nature of the question in UPSC exam, which is more or less 8 questions in mains examination. So UPSC is asking basic questions, maximum 1 to 2. For example, in this year, in 2023, the 2 to 3 basic questions which were, one was with respect to the fjord formation, and then the next question was, this is also mentioned in the 11th class NCERT of World Physical Geography. Okay, then the natural vegetation in India. One question was with respect to what are the factors which contribute to the variety or the diversity in the natural vegetation in India. So that is also, there is a one chapter on vegetation in 11th class Indian Physical Environment NCERT. Okay, so these 1 to 2 questions will be the basic. Then rest of the questions, which is 5 to 6, based on the contemporary issues, and these are the non-conventional aspect of the geography. Fine. For example, this is the favorite topic of UPSC, water crisis. Every year you will find that with respect to the water, UPSC is asking the question, be it groundwater, the problem of the groundwater extraction, what is the water crisis, okay, what is the availability of the water resources. For example, in 2013 has been asked like fresh water availability sources. Okay, then in 2019 again there was a question about the water stress, and in 2018 there was a question about the groundwater. So water crisis is one of the topic which is having the maximum chance to in the mains examination. Okay, then if water crisis, then there will be another interlinked topic is the river interlinking. So why there is a need of river interlinking, what are the consequences, what are the possible benefits. So this is also a contemporary phenomena. And another aspect of the contemporary phenomena, for example, in today's 21st century, the major challenge in terms of the geography and environment is the existence of this planet, which is creating the threat is creating because of the problem of the climate change. This climate change is happening because of the global warming, and because of this climate change we are facing the challenge about the food security, environmental degradation, environmental degradation, water crisis. Okay, rainfall pattern is changing. And when this rainfall pattern is changing, either we are facing the issues like drought or flood. And nature of the flood in India has been changed. So now the major challenge is urban flooding, especially in metropolitan cities. Okay, so that's how, see, in 2020, the question was about the urban flood. Urban flood is inundation of the land. Okay, within a short span of the time, the maximum rainfall is creating the problem for the drainage system. Okay, so that is what the urban flooding account for the huge flooding in the million cities in India, including the small one like the Hyderabad and Pune. Okay, then where again the renewable sources of energy, this is also the contemporary phenomena, also linked with the climate change issue only. So to deal with the climate change, then we have to shift our energy sources towards the renewable sources. Then environmental degradation, okay, coral bleaching, mangroves. Okay, so the coral bleaching is again because of the climate change. Okay, then last year you see monsoon in 2023, Purvaiya. Here this Purvaiya is basically a word in Bhojpuri language, and the question was not about that what is the phenomena of monsoon, how it is occurring, what is the contribution. That monsoon as a phenomena was linked with the cultural ethos of this region. So monsoon in Bhojpuri region have a different terminology, namely Purvaiya. So this is in the Bhojpuri language. Purav in Hindi means east. Okay, and Purvaiya in Bhojpuri also means east. So the people in this region terms this monsoon wind as a Purvaiya. Why? Because this is something which is coming from the eastern direction, and this coming of the monsoon in terms of the Purvaiya is have the cultural values. For example, in this Sawan month, which as per the Hindu calendars, there is a celebration of the festival, namely Tej, and the people in this region will plan their agriculture as per the amount of the rainfall which is happening after this coming of this Purvaiya. Okay, and their attire setup, their food habits will be their food composition, their food in their plate is also something changed when the monsoon will come. Okay, and then this Purvaiya is also mentioned in the folk song of this region. Fine. So see, this is something very unconventional aspect of the monsoon which UPSC has asked in the last year. So here one we can understand that you should focus should be on the unconventional or the contemporary area in terms of the challenges which we are facing, be it water security, be it river interlinking, be it environmental degradation, be it melting of the glacier, okay, and water crisis. So that's how you should approach your strategy, so much so that you can get the maximum marks in the geography. Okay, so this was all about the session. In the last two sessions we have completely understand that what should be your strategy by understanding the syllabus, by understanding from where you can cover, and what is the demand of the UPSC by analyzing the previous year question, not only in the prelims but also in the mains, and what is the importance of the geography in your entire selection process by analyzing the weightage which geography is carrying, not only in the prelims but also in the mains. So this was all about today's session. Thank you so much. In the next session we will be continuing, we will start with the geography related topics in an integrated manner for the prelims and mains. So this was all about today's session. Thank you so much.